He saw it tucked away in the back corner of the sprawling estate sale, nestled amongst dusty volumes and forgotten trinkets. It wasn't the kind of object he usually gravitated towards, yet something about it called to him. It was an antique bird cage, a magnificent structure of intricately wrought iron, tarnished with age, but still possessing a quiet grandeur. Its domed top soared, and the bars, thin and elegant, seemed to hum with silent stories. Arthur, a man of quiet routines and an appreciation for the subtle beauty in forgotten things, reached out and traced a finger along one of its cool, smooth bars. It was empty, of course. No seed trays, no water dishes, certainly no birds. It was just a beautiful, empty vessel, a relic from a time when such artistry was commonplace. He imagined it in his living room, a unique piece of decor, a conversation starter perhaps. He bought it for a surprisingly modest sum, the old woman running the sale giving him a knowing, almost melancholic smile as she wrapped it in brown paper. "It's had many inhabitants, that one," she murmured, her voice like rustling leaves. Arthur carried it home, the cage surprisingly light, yet feeling heavy with unspoken history. He placed it in his living room, near the window where the afternoon sun could catch its aged metalwork. For the first few nights, it was just a cage, a lovely, silent, empty cage. He'd occasionally glance at it, a quiet satisfaction settling in his chest. It fit perfectly. Then, about a week after its arrival, the quiet began to shift. It was subtle at first, a whisper of sound in the deepest hours of the night. Arthur would wake, a strange sense of alertness prickling his skin. He'd listen, straining his ears against the silence of his old house, convinced he'd heard something, a soft rustling, a faint tremor, like wings. He'd dismiss it, of course. Old houses creak, pipes rattle, the wind plays tricks, and the cage was empty. He checked it multiple times, even shining his phone's flashlight into its dark interior, only to be met by dusty emptiness. But the sounds persisted. Each night, they grew a little bolder, a little more distinct. Not loud, never loud enough to truly startle him out of his sleep, but persistent enough to pull him from the depths of dreams into that liminal state of semi-consciousness. He began to associate the sound, unmistakably now, with the cage, a soft fluttering sound, as if something was contained within those delicate iron bars, though his eyes told him otherwise. It was a disquieting sensation, this disconnect between what he saw and what he heard. He found himself wondering about the old woman's words. It's had many inhabitants. What kind of inhabitants? And where did they go? The thought was a fleeting shadow across his mind, easily dismissed during the practical light of day. But at night, in the quiet, the sounds took on a different quality. They weren't gentle anymore. There was a frantic edge to them, a trapped, desperate energy. Sometimes he'd hear what sounded like faint scratches, delicate yet insistent, against the metal. He'd lie there, holding his breath, waiting for the dawn. One morning, he woke with a gasp, not from a dream, but from a sharp, burning sensation across his chest. He pushed himself upright, his heart pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. The first thing he noticed was the pain. He reached down, his fingers brushing against something raw and stinging. When he looked, he saw them. 3 distinct, angry red lines scoring his bare chest, perfectly parallel, as if drawn by something sharp and precise. Talons, his mind whispered, an unbidden, terrifying thought. They looked like deep scratches, as if something had raked him fiercely in the night. He stumbled out of bed, bewildered, his mind racing. Had he scratched himself in his sleep? But these were too deep, too deliberate, too animalistic. He stared at his reflection in the bathroom mirror, his eyes wide with a dawning horror. The scratches seemed to throb, a stark contrast against his pale skin. He tried to recall any dreams, any nightmares, but his memory was a blank slate from the moment he'd fallen asleep until this sudden, painful awakening. And then, as he stood there, his breath catching in his throat, he noticed something else. a strange, feathery tickle at the back of his mouth. He gagged, a wave of nausea washing over him. He coughed desperately, and that's when they appeared. Small, soft, downy feathers, a mottled gray and brown, mixed with a sickly saliva. They were in his mouth, not on his pillow, not on his sheets, but in his mouth. He spat them into the sink, repulsion and a cold, creeping dread seizing him. He looked around his bedroom, his eyes darting to the open doorway. The living room, where the cage sat, was just beyond. An empty cage, a cage that fluttered at night, a cage that now seemed to have left its mark, not just on his body, but in a way he couldn't comprehend. Within him, the feathers, the scratches, the relentless, unseen fluttering. It was as if whatever had been trapped within the cage had, in some unfathomable way, found a new, terrible kind of freedom. The morning light, usually a comfort, now felt like an intrusion, revealing a reality far stranger and more chilling than any nightmare. He cleaned the scratches, but the phantom tickle of feathers in his mouth lingered, a testament to an impossible truth. Arthur never truly understood what had happened that night. He eventually sold the cage, not wanting it in his home for another moment, though he never spoke of his experience to the buyer. He simply wanted it gone, its silent, dark history no longer his to bear. Yet even now, years later, a quiet unease settles over him when he hears the distant flutter of bird flings. And sometimes, in the dead of night, he'll unconsciously check his chest, a ghost of an itch where the scratches had been. The mystery of that empty bird cage and the life it seemed to carry remains an unsettling echo in the quiet corners of his memory. It serves as a haunting reminder that some objects carry more than just history. They carry a lingering presence, and sometimes they choose their own prey. What do you think of Arthur's experience? Have you ever encountered an object that felt like it carried its own strange, unseen energy? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like this video and subscribe for more tales from the unexpected.